All right, we're back with episode. Is it 19 or 20, guys? I lost track. 19. Okay,
I got
20?
it wrong last time, so don't ask me.
Wait, I think it's 20.
we'll figure it out
I
later.
could
All right.
quickly
Anyway,
check
we're
though.
back with a new episode of PuckPod with Esports. I'm Brian. I'm here with Christian and David. Christian, how was your week?
Pretty good. It feels like just deja vu at this point. Like it's now just so routine, my weeks, that like they just all kind of blend together again. I think I was saying that like before Christmas, it's the same thing now, but same but different. Just go through the motions, school, end of the week, have a party, recover on Sunday, start it all over again. That's basically been my schedule for like since coming back from Christmas break. But all in all, pretty good. Can't complain.
You guys have the February Blues yet?
February
I
just
don't
started.
really.
So
Yeah.
start of the year after January New Year's
But
post
I'll be
Blues.
honest with you, these winter blues are starting to hit though. Like that
No
couple
way.
day stretch. Oh my god! Anybody in the GTA and like, actually can I think Canada in general just got like at least the Eastern Seaboard, dude, was mollywopped by an Arctic vortex. Like I think it was like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, over. I'm not gonna complain because I saw some other parts of Ontario that were hitting minus 50 Celsius without wind chill. Um, okay, over here, granted, it was like minus. I think it was minus 20, but then it turned into like 30, minus 30 with the wind chill.
Yeah.
That was crazy. Like I was downtown Friday night, and like if you weren't like in a building in a car, dude, like there was nobody on the sidewalks. Pretty much, it was
Dave, you do
really
anything
bad.
this week?
Am I doing anything this week?
Did you
I
do
don't
anything
think
this week?
so.
Did you do
Oh,
anything
this
this week?
past week?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I went out Friday night, like I said, really, really cold. Other than that, it's just work. Like working like on the site, working at my other job, still like job searching to find something like permanent. Yeah, other than that, it's the same thing with Christian, man. It's like I'm going through the motions. It's everything's just like blending in.
No All Star weekend, guys.
Let's get into okay. Before we get into it, I just want to say to what Dave was saying about the weather, like that Friday specifically.
Oof.
I literally felt like Bear Grylls in the Himalayas when I walked outside, bro. Like that's what it felt like. I was like, this is what it feels like to just be Bear Grylls. That's all I want
Icicles
to say.
gathering,
Yes.
gathering on your hair, on your. I don't have a. I shaved off my beard, but if I had my beard 100%, I'd have icicles forming on my beard hairs 100%.
Days like this, everybody wishes they had a beard, man. Yeah. Yeah.
For real.
Okay. Brian, you brought up All Star Game. I've got the results, and I've actually got all of the participants. Context. We were talking about this. All three of us didn't really watch too much of All Star Weekend. Okay, how about okay? Skills Comp and All Star Game. Did anybody watch either of the two?
I watched a touch of the All Star game. Sorry, I watched a touch of the skills competitions, just the hardest shot,
Okay.
and then
Yeah.
that's it.
Dave?
So I'm the inverse of Brian. I watched more of the All-Star game. I think just because I was actually for like that was like our lunchtime, so it was like as a family we were watching it basically. Um, but if it wasn't for that, like if it was like normal time like they normally do it, I don't think I would have had it on. I'll be honest with you. That was another thing too. I was so surprised. They normally do it the Saturday and Sunday, but this week they decided to do it Friday for the skills comp, Saturday for the game, which honestly isn't a bad idea in theory, I guess, because then they wanted games back up by Monday. So that would be tonight. Like I think some games might have already started. I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, it was. You know what the thing is though? It just wasn't promoted. Like I feel like I didn't know. Like I just kind of assumed it was going to be Saturday, Sunday, and then Friday rolled around, and I saw, oh, the record. Like I saw videos of them recording for the night during the day, in Florida. So they did the I don't even know what it was called. Like they were on the beach and like shooting the surfboard, like shooting the pucks at the
Yeah.
surfboard. They were doing that during the day, I believe. So they recorded that and then they broadcasted that to everybody at night when the competition happened, right? And it was just like, is the game today? Like I was like, sorry, is the skills today? Like I had no idea. I had to go search it up, and I think
Yeah.
that's just like
It
it
just,
just
it just
compounding. It
mismanaged.
just
The
it
whole
just
thing was mismanaged.
compounding on, and that has been the problem that I saw for this entire All Star weekend. It was just like it was a big dud race, basically. By most people's account, it wasn't great. I don't know. Like,
Let's
have you guys seen anything different? Like, I don't know. That's all I saw was nobody really seemed to enjoy. Even the players looked like
yeah.
they kind of just mailed it in.
Question for you, Dave. Was
Yeah.
the Pro Bowl on Sunday, or do you know if the Pro Bowl was on Sunday? Is that maybe why they didn't want to overlap?
You know what? I think it was. I think the game itself was.
Yeah.
I believe the Saturday though was their version of like the skills competition though.
Okay. So
So I
there
mean,
still kind
either
of
way
was
there was going to
overlap.
be yeah, either way there was going to be overlap, but like
Yeah.
I guess to avoid going head to head with the Pro Bowl, like the actual Pro Bowl, they played the games on the Saturday instead of the Sunday. Maybe that seems like a good enough reason for them to do it. Honestly didn't even come to my mind. I watched even like bits and pieces of that. It was pretty enjoyable too. Shout out to the NFL. Even their pro like the only major North American sport I think that does it does that whole thing right is the NBA. They know how to make it a show, make it a spectacle, be entertaining for 3 hours for the skills comp, and then another 2 hours for their actual game, and also make it look relatively competitive. I know like the game in the NBA, they finish like
Yeah.
165 to 163, no defense, but like I'm not trying to watch a lot of defense. I want to see like 3 points, slam dunks, and I guess we kind of got that out of the NHL's All Star game. Like there was a lot of goals, and I'll commend them for that. It looked like most of the players were trying from what I saw, but it was just like I don't know.
Dave, I'll be honest with you. There's only one good All Star game in the NHL that like I remember vividly. And I actually really enjoyed watching. I think
If you don't
that
say
was
it's the John Style one,
it's the
I'm gonna
Johnstown
bash
one.
you over that. Okay. Okay. Okay.
That's
Cool.
the only time I've ever had any interest in the actual All Star game itself in the NHL. I don't care. I'll be honest with you guys. The NHL All Star game is a dud every single year. I'd rather the players just go on a little bit of vacation, take some time off, rest up, and yeah.
Like Dave said though, the NBA game couldn't really care for. Pro Bowl do not care for, neither do the players. MLB, it used to mean something. They changed it, I think, this very year. It no longer decides home advantage in the World Series, so even that doesn't have much on the line. So honestly, I think I could say I don't really care for any of the four major North American All Star games themselves, which is to say I don't know if we can be too hard on the NHL for the All Star game because when no one has figured out the formula. Um, in terms of, once again, the generic sports, what do I enjoy? Like Dave said, I do watch the NBA skills comps. So much fun, specifically the 3 point contest and the dunk contest. They have other ones too where it's like you got to pass the ball through the hoop, you got to go for the layup, and it's like a race. Don't really care for that one too much, but 3 point and dunk, those are spectacles. And even when you don't have the top players performing in it, whoever they do put in are either a sharpshooter at 3 pointing or they can absolutely posterize guys with their dunks and they come up with some creative stuff. So they do it right for sure. Cannot fault them there. MLB, I love watching the home run derby too. Home run derby is really
Yeah.
cool. They can drag it out. It's not just like a 2 minute event, 5 minute event. They've got rounds. It goes to the finals. Like I love watching that. Um, the NHL, I do love hardest shot. I think we can all agree that hardest shot is the closest thing we have to a spectacle. But Dave mentioned this before we hopped on. It's a little different when you don't have the headliner. And the headliner for many years was Dano Chara or Shea Weber. And without those guys, there hasn't really been someone to step up and take the mantle as the king, as somebody to challenge. And this is something we talked about throughout the week, or mainly after the All Star game itself. I like the idea of opening it up to the NHL at large. If players want to be at All Star Weekend, Martin Frk is the example. He broke the record. I think he hit 110 miles per hour, or I don't know if they measure miles per hour or
I think it
kilometers
was
per
even
hour.
high. I think it was higher. It might have been like one. I think because Charo's was like 111 or 112. Maybe he didn't
Yeah,
even hit 110, but something like that. He was in that like 1 1, like 110 to like
yeah.
115 range, 100%.
And so that was I remember that. Like I remember that being a little bit of news. Why can't we have Martin Frk at the
I
game?
But
Okay, so you know
but to
what? He isn't in
caveat
the
that,
NHL. It's a little different, but yeah,
yeah,
what's
to
up?
caveat that, that was in the AHL. So that's
Yes.
where like it was news, but if Martin Frk was playing for the, I believe he was for on Los Angeles at the time, if he was
Yeah.
on the Kings and he came into the
Yeah.
NHL All Star game and did that, that would have been news in the NHL for a month. But
Exactly.
unfortunately, he was in the AHL, so instead of a month worth of talk, we had like 2 days, I think. So
Yeah.
I
uh,
I was just thinking, like, how can we fix this? What's our solution to improve on the NHL All Star game? Instead of, sorry, All Star skills competitions, I think you're right on. I think you're onto something with having like multiple like entrants per team. But we live in an era, social media, digital age. Why don't we let each team do their own skills competition, right? And then if you win your own team skill competition, you get invited to participate in the league skill competition. Meanwhile, the vote's just for the game. So you can have a Martin Frk. You can have a Carl Hagelin for fastest skater. You can have a, I don't know, XYZ, whoever wins their actual team competition. And then you can make it all on social media with TikToks or like YouTube Shorts or whatever.
I
Each
have
team has a
always
rep.
liked that
that's
idea.
not a bad idea,
Yeah.
actually.
And listen, there are teams that already do hold their own skills comp. I'm pretty sure the Oilers are one. Um, I think Columbus was another. There used to always be talk about like when you'd ask NHL players like who's the fastest skater outside of McDavid. For a long time, the most popular answer was Seth Jones, and it was like, where the
What?
hell is this coming from? Yeah, no, I know, but it was because Columbus would hold a skills comp and he would win it. I brought up like Ilya Mikheyev, right? And nobody
Oh,
forgets the
here we
clip
go.
in the nobody forgets that clip. Come on,
No,
keep
he
moving,
is
right?
faster than Connor McDavid. It is
It's in
quite
stone,
literally proven
man.
in stone.
Yeah, but
It'd be a
listen,
different
like,
story. It'd be a different story if they were comparing top speeds, but like they were comparing, like they were in a race against each other, a foot, like one-on-one foot battle. Ilya Mikheyev, fastest skater in the league. Maybe
yeah,
not anymore because he just suffered an ACL injury that has him shelved for the rest of the year. So, wishing him speedy
Yeah, we're not gonna
recovery
talk
in
about that team for the
Vancouver.
rest of this episode, or like the rest of
No,
this
no, no. We're not. We're
honestly,
not
right?
bringing up. We're not bringing up anything of that team. But like, shout out
No,
to Ilya Mikheyev wherever he is right now.
shout out to Ilya. I think for me, if I just had to sum up what I want out of the All Star game, it's the opportunity for players that actually care about it to show up. Because
So
I think it can be entertaining, even if the All Stars aren't the ones who are doing some of the All Star events. If they're gonna
yeah.
half-ass it, sit on the bench, watch, because here comes Joe Schmo, who's been waiting for this moment all season and is gonna dazzle the NHL with his 109 mile per hour clapper. Okay?
So
To me, that's
that
all you need is effort.
that in particular, Christian brings up a very good point. That is what the NBA does, and that's why we get such high quality. I don't know what they call. I'm gonna call it a skills comp. It's the same
Yeah,
thing, like in both
yeah,
sports. They're the skills comp, right? If you remember, I was watching this live, 2016, Toronto. Little side note: Toronto's also getting the next NHL All Star game, so fingers crossed. Maybe coming to this city will have an effect on the All Star game. I don't know, but we'll see. So 2016 in Toronto, the stars of the NBA were out in full force. Kevin Durant on the Oklahoma City Thunder just before they were about to blow a 3-1 lead in the conference finals. LeBron before he was about to whoop the Raptors once again in the playoffs. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, all of them were there. Star-studded night. But besides that, they also had guys like Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine, in particular for the dunk contest. and they single-handedly put on one of the best NBA dunk contests like of all time. Like
That was so good, man.
The Aaron Gordon dunk when his mascot was on, I believe it was like the
Something
Segway.
spinning, right?
It was
Yeah.
like that scooter thing that all the TikTok the Vine influencers had. That's a deep cut for everybody. And he was like spinning, and then Aaron Gordon jumped at least, I think it was like 7.7 feet for sure. Grabbed the ball midair, took a seat on top of the mascot, put the ball underneath him, and dunked it, and didn't win the competition. Like the stories about that competition still rage on, and like the debate rages on to this day, saying like a lot of people think that Aaron Gordon should have won that competition, but like the NHL doesn't have that. They don't have guys coming in for specialized events. So I think that's kind of where the NHL misses the mark. And I know, you know, the NHL hardest shot in particular, that's the only one that I knew going in. So Elias Pettersson ended up winning that. And you see somebody like Ovi there, and it's like, oh, okay, like, you know, Ovi's there, his patented or his patented one-timer is like, you know, it's got something on it. I mean, he scored over 800 goals, so you would have him as the odds-on favorite. But you know what? Elias Pettersson came in and won the competition. So I don't know. I'm at a crossroads because they definitely have the star quality, and maybe what you're saying, Brian, holds something. Maybe it's something that they can explore in the future, where all 32 teams kind of gather their players and see who is the best in which category, and then they'll go forward. Basically, maybe that is
Think of the
the way that
marketing.
they.
You could build good personalities. You know.
Oh, 100%.
You can build. Like I watched the Jason Robertson interview today. The first time I ever watched this guy speak, and I'm a fan because like you know he's so relatable, such an interesting figure.
Very genuine guy.
Yes.
Really genuine.
But could you imagine you have all the like your favorite team? They're all benchmarking together, like they're all talking trash to one another, like who has the hardest shot, this and that. And then at the end, you win it. You win the right to represent your team at the hardest shot competition and from 32 other teams. That's interesting to me because then you get the best of the best, not just the best of the ones selected per se. But
I will say, when it comes to something like fastest skater, that is the one competition where I could see complications because of injury concerns, right? That is the only one where you're like, you cannot put in a half-assed effort and win fastest skater. You literally have to skate your fastest. You're at maximal levels of strength, right? I feel like this internal skills comps would be great until some guy decides I'm going for fastest skater and blows out his ACL when it comes to a hard stop or something like that. You know what I mean? That's the only one. But like slap shot, there's no concerns there. Dunk contest, right? That's the closest thing, right?
There's like separate your shoulder or something, I guess. But like,
I guess
you could like regardless, you could get injured. Like,
yeah,
a goalie could get injured.
Fall on my head right now, man.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Yes.
That's like if ifs and buts were candy and nuts. Like, you gotta take those types of risks. Like Shesterkin could have got injured. I believe he was one of the goalies in net for. I mean, even during the All Star game itself, like a player could get tweak something. Like you never know, right? Like that's up to chance, basically, to an extent, or luck, basically. But yeah, no, 100% though, Christian, you do have to put like that one in particular. You got to put in.
That's the only one.
Yeah.
110 because you got to exert yourself so much.
Okay, so
all right.
Obviously,
we want to do the competition winners, or
it's been already 20 minutes. There's no point. Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, doesn't really matter.
He's the only one that I cared about too, because hardest shot. Yeah. I'm just like,
who did? I am curious who did win fastest skater, because I think that's a close second for me.
Ryan, do you know this one off the top of your head? Because I know this one. Svechnikov. Mr. Svechnikov won fastest skater. Yeah.
Wow.
And, I know a lot of Hurricanes fans are saying like, good for Svech, but he's not even the fastest skater on his team. Apparently, Marty Nikash is. No, Martinuk. Man, I love that. I love Martinuk, not even for hockey reasons, but for personality reasons. I called Svechnikov Mr. Svechnikov. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that video. I love that video. That is hilarious to me. So I will always be a Martinuk fan. But yeah, Canes fans are saying he's probably like third or fourth fastest on the team. There's Terrifying, there's
Wow.
Aho, there's
No, he only has Rod
Nikash.
the Bod. He's
Good for
making
Svetch.
him do the laps.
Oh,
How about
dude, just
Seth?
put Rod the
I
Bot
feel like
out there, man.
oh my god, dude.
Right?
Dude, have a competition of like push-ups on ice or like lifting weights on ice and just get Rod
Yeah,
the Bot
man.
out there. That is the price
Oh
of
my
admission
god.
right there alone.
Okay.
How do we get Bruce Boudreau back in the NHL to do like hardest shot or something? I
Oh
know
man.
I would love to see that.
Or can we get
Anyways,
him,
yeah.
or we can get him the
I think
host, the
that
host
would
skater, he can
yo,
commentate it.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Listen to this. I
You'd have
just
the whole
took
crowd,
this
man.
one.
Bruce, hit it, hit it.
Why don't we get some of like the coaches to like come out and like do I don't know, like just get the coaches,
the
get like
thing,
execs
yeah.
involved. Like get Stevie Y out of the press box, get him to come
Marty
down here.
St. Louis. Dude,
Yeah.
he would love it. He would absolutely fucking love it.
Or like do a competition between them and their teammate, like or like one of their players, like
my
if it's a
God.
coach, like Marty
Oh, that's
St. Louis
awesome.
versus Nick Suzuki, like
I feel
fastest
like-
skater, like
You know what would be
Fa-
good?
Marty St. Louis was lightning on his
No,
feet when he
you
was
know
a
what would be
player,
good?
right? But
If a coach ever won though, then like the player would be embarrassed
dude.
as hell.
Yeah,
it would
go
be
down to
so
the
right.
AHL.
That's the problem. That's
You
the
know
problem.
what
Yeah.
would be? You know what would be good? Accuracy contest. Steven Stamkos
Yeah.
versus San Louis, the mentor versus the teacher. Sorry, the mentor versus the
Yeah.
student. Oh my goodness.
I think
That'd be
I would just love to see coach versus coach. I think that would be
that would be
fun.
pretty cool too.
Yeah.
Right?
Loser gets axed. Loser gets fired from the league.
There's just a fire slowly getting closer to them as they miss every target and then they just get burnt. That's it.
I wonder
That's
if there's any head coach right now who's like, who hasn't been like a professional like player. You know what I mean? Like somebody who never, because they're like, okay, I'll take it to like the soccer example, the EPL. There are coaches who never really got like they played amateur basically. So they have some skill, but if you're going to go up against a former professional, you're probably going to get exposed really badly. I'd like to know who that coach is, who's like the amateur, looks like a bender on the ice, like, and just has to go up against like Marty St. Louis with like hardest shot or like fastest skater. Like
Off the
poor
top
guy.
of my head, Dave, I think I know who it is. This is off the top of my head, the guy who I think hasn't played any hockey and he like straight up switched professions. And he's a guy that we're going to be becoming more and more familiar with. We are already very familiar, but in April, John Cooper. I'm pretty sure John Cooper. He was a lawyer. He's a lawyer turned coach.
He's a lawyer.
Yeah,
that is.
So I don't know if like he played in college or whatever, but I know
Yeah.
he was a lawyer first, then a coach. So he might be the guy, right?
Maybe he'll finagle his way out of it because he's a lawyer. He's got
Alright.
the skills.
All right, guys. That's a lot of All Star Weekend talk. That was fun. But let's move
Probably
in.
Considering we
too
haven't
much,
watched it,
honestly.
we talked way too much
Yes.
about the All Star game that we didn't watch.
Let's move into the next topic, which is Bally Sports bankruptcy and that the U.S. NHL viewership is down 22% from last year. Guys.
Well, listen, what a segue because you kind of miss on you miss on the like that's supposed to be one of your premier events, right? It's Cup Finals,
The
draft.
showcase.
Yes, that is your showcase. That's probably your biggest in-season showcase as well. And you're not able to draw fans in. You have a dud like this, it kind of leaves a lasting impression. So, I don't know. Bri, like
I know. And
What?
between this and the SB Nation Fox stuff
Yeah.
and the other left, it's like, man, this is a tough industry. This industry's cutthroat. But, man, 22% over just last year? Like, what's changed from last year and this year? For me,
So-
not so much, besides, like, my injuries, which makes me a little bit, like, give up on the team. But, like, that's not something that happens to every single team, you know?
Yeah.
You guys
I think there's a little bit of nuance here where it's not necessarily, and maybe this is just me being naive and being optimistic, but does it reflect that viewership as a whole is going down or that viewership is changing in terms of where it's coming from? Is it
I
in
think-
places that we,
I
right?
do understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So-
sorry, Christian. Yeah, to add on
No,
your
no,
point.
go ahead. Yeah.
I think it's maybe not even a naivety on your end. I think it's a naivety on the NHL's end for not mobilizing another avenue like the other sports have. So I believe where you're going to go with this is streaming has become an essential part to watching sports, regardless, like, in Canada to watch, to watch
Brian, why are
all.
you dying, man?
This guy's always dying.
No, I'm laughing because like we say that, but then we have a partner that in the States they do have NHL streaming rights. You can watch.
Yeah, no,
your
yes,
local team.
but do you think that this figure that we've got, this 22% down,
Is
I don't,
accounted for.
is that all encompassing? No, it's probably just TV
No,
ratings,
but-
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
You don't
ESP. Like, are you watching it on ESPN? Are you watching it on TNT?
Yeah.
Those guys, they like it's not accounting for Fubo rights, right?
Yes,
So
that's
in
true.
Canada, we have, the EPL. You can only watch the EPL through a site like Fubo. Before that, it was DAZN. I don't know. We're gonna name drop names here. Doesn't matter.
We
But
have
like you
to,
have
right?
those two sites in particular are the avenues that most people are going to. And the dreaded third avenue, unfortunately, is finding an illegal stream, which 9 times out of 10, I wouldn't say that, 8 times out of 10, a lot of people who are willing to watch the games have to go through those sorts of methods because of menial and trivial things. If you are in Ontario and you have a TSN package, you cannot watch Sens games, Jets games. I
Avs
think
games.
there's an Avs games as well.
The Canadians. Like we can't watch Canadians games.
Oh, and
Right?
Habs.
I
Yeah,
remember
sorry.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember this
100%.
actually. It was it was Jets Caps. It was, I think goal number.
TSN 3.
Yes, it was goal number 800. I was like, guys, like get on. You're gonna miss history. And
Yeah.
you guys were like, we can't. It's blacked out. And then I
Yeah.
changed my channel to TSN, and I'm like, wait, it's actually blacked out. And then like,
And listen, this
What's
isn't just
the
a
point?
Canada thing. This is an American thing too.
yes.
And it's just very it's not consumer
It's
friendly,
frustrating.
obviously. It is very frustrating to the point where it will decide how people consume their media, right? Do you guys know the specifics of the MLS deal, the new MLS deal? I think it's with Apple. It's
TV.
Apple TV
Yeah.
now. And
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's an all-encompassing package with no blackouts. I
That's the way
am
to do
pretty
it.
sure.
So
Don't
it's,
quote
yeah,
me,
so
but
it is.
yeah.
I believe it's along those lines, and it's like they have dedicated coverage for every team. Like they have at least one reporter, which is good because it's like
Yeah.
not every team is equal. There are bigger teams in that league. I could go off like New York City, the Atlanta team, the LA teams. They probably have a lot more coverage. But then you go to a team like, I don't know, Salt Lake, like that's a small team, but they're gonna be covered. Like you could go get your coverage if you want to watch whatever team you want. In Toronto, or actually like most of Canada, the biggest complaint from the two big providers for hockey content is Rogers and Sportsnet, and the biggest complaint against them is it feels like it's only Maple Leaf content or Maple Leaf coverage, right? If the Leafs could not weren't in the playoffs for 10 years and somehow the Leafs always made nationwide headlines basically, right? So I don't know. So to your point, Christian, I think the headlines that were coming out maybe are a bit more misleading. I think the NHL wants, I don't know if they want it as like a scare tactic or if they want to use that as a scare tactic, or at least somebody wants to use that as a scare tactic, because I don't think 22% of people who were watching the NHL last year have just
Give it up.
cut
Yeah.
it off completely. I think
Yeah.
there might be a slight decrease, maybe 5%, 100%. I could believe that, but 22% across 12 months is very highly.
That's
unlikely.
literally 1 in 5 people, right?
Yeah,
Like when you put it like
100%.
that, that's a little hard to believe. Okay, going to the Bali sports bankruptcy stuff and how that affects the NHL. Let's mention it isn't just an NHL problem. This is going to affect NBA teams, and this affects, I think, some NFL teams as well.
MLB. That's the other big one.
Sorry. Yeah, okay, MLB. I think I put NFL in there. Maybe it's not NFL. MLB. MLB and NBA teams. A along with the NHL. It's 12-ish broadcasts. I know Friedman had them all listed in one of his 32 Thoughts articles. So listen, Bryan, your team has gone through a change in the media holders this season, right? This is your first season where Ted Leon's, this you said, has bought the rights for NBCSN's feed of the Caps, right?
He did buy NBCSN. He is going to rebrand it to his own thing. I think it's going to be Monumental Sports, because that's his brand.
Okay. So that's what I was going to ask you. Like, if it's still under so this season, it's still under the NBCSN branding. No?
It's going to be under the NBC brand up until the point where he decides to change it. And he already said he's going to change it midway through this season. We're already past.
Okay, so it's already in the works.
Yeah,
it's close.
It's imminent.
I wouldn't be surprised if he changed it to Monumental Sports Network in I don't know, let's say
April.
Maybe even start of this season, when the restart happens, right? But
okay. So my point of this is, why would Ted Leonsis do this? Well, he does this because this is now a revenue generating stream. No, Bryan? Right? Like, he owns it, any money made off of this is his. It is not NBCSN's. He bought it, he made an investment, and he reaps the benefits of that. Other NHL teams could end up doing the same. You buy the Bally Sports Regional Network, and now that's your broadcast. We see that with the Blue Jays, right? Sportsnet owns that. Rogers owns the Blue Jays, so that's what's up there. So that's the pros. I think that there is a underrated con to a world where all of the teams own their regional networks. And maybe this is a nitpick. I don't really think it is, because this is something that matters to me. When the team owns the broadcast of their games, what type of coverage are you going to be getting during the game? A lot of flowery content, a lot of safe content, not a lot of criticism, nothing that opens up to retaliation on social media. It's not exactly a neutral broadcast anymore, right?
Yeah, 100%.
For me, that is something that kind of matters. That is something that kind of matters. It's like the Leafs have Leafs TV, or we used to.
They did.
We had Leafs
No, it's
TV.
done. It's completely gone. The Leafs Nation Network, all of that has been taken off the air.
Yes. That was great. I love to turn that on a Sunday morning. They would just be in the stands at Leafs practice, talking what happened during the week. I love that type of content. If it was just Leaf games on Leafs Nation Network, Leafs TV, that it is now gone, we would not be getting the type of coverage that most people are used to. That is the one nitpick I will make that is a reality. Bryan, you have experience with this. Am I being unrealistic? Am I making this up, or is this something you've noticed with your guys' broadcast, or no?
Honestly, not really. It's more of a personal thing. I don't watch with a lot of volume. I watch it on very low volume. I want to make my own judgments, stuff like that. But
yes.
We always had Joe Benatti over there has always been very local. He's always been for the fans, and we've always had a not very biased commentary, but it's always for our team, right?
It leans towards
it's a regional
Homer.
broadcast.
Yes.
It leans towards more Homer than in the middle per se.
So another point for for teams buying their own networks is who owns NBC. Do you guys know?
You brought this up. You should, Dave, take a guess.
Is it Comcast?
It is Comcast.
Yeah.
Who owns the Flyers?
Comcast.
Isn't it kind of weird that
the Flyers own the Capitals? Confirmed.
The Flyers own most of America's
network
NHL coverage, right?
Take off your Caps jersey.
But don't you find this kind of weird how Flyers broadcasting media owns our network up until this season? It's the same as the Habs own.
Definitely.
It's the same as legitimately the Habs company or the Senators own your network. That's just odd.
Yeah, they own a TSN or a Sportsnet. 100%. And I think that's probably a reason why Ted saw this and was like, well, listen, if because at the end of the day, they're helping a team like the Flyers profit, because that money goes back to NBC, but then that money also then goes back up to Comcast, and that money also then indirectly goes back to the Flyers. So 100%.
But
it's a conflict of interest in like far down the line. Like it's not like a direct conflict of interest, but 100% at a point, you could definitely see where that would become a bit muddy.
But I don't know. I'm for the whole one network. Like everybody, you just pay the subscription. You watch all the games, 100% access. That's the way to do it. That's the way the Premier League does it.
That should
That's
be the way it
Serie A
does.
does
It is.
with Fubo TV. That's also the way that well, MLS is gonna do it probably with Apple TV. And if I'm being honest with you, if I had the chance to watch a random game, let's say Bruins and I don't know, name another team, Bruins and Wild. If it's on TV and I have access to it, you know, there's a chance to put it on. There's a chance to enjoy the game. There's a chance that I have a new appreciation for like Pasternak or Kaprizov or something like that. I don't get that chance right now unless I actively go hunting for it in a non-meaningful way, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, if I'm not mistaken, didn't the NHL have? They had the center ice pack. I know in Canada, I don't know if they also offered that.
The blackouts were still in that, man. Yeah,
and that's the problem,
right? Even Sportsnet now.
Sportsnet now, TSN Direct or TSN whatever TSN wants to call their app. I watched a lot of the World Cup on TSN, and I have to say it wasn't that bad of an app, so I'll give them credit for that. But I've actually genuinely like Sportsnet now. I've heard awful things about the app, the interface, and just everything about it. It's like, how are you a multi-billion-dollar company and not having a working app? And then that's also on top of the fact that if you're in Toronto, you can't, like, a lot of games are blacked out. So if I wanted to watch, so a night like tonight, the Leafs aren't playing. If I wanted to go watch a game that wasn't on TV, it was on like, you know, on Sportsnet, but it was blacked out, guess what I'm going to do? Not watch the game. I'll go on Disney Plus. I'll go on Netflix. We're not in the 70s anymore where it was like you could only watch 5 channels on TV. It's like, well, I've got thousands of different channels on TV, a million. The possibilities to go on like Safari or on the internet here to go find entertainment is endless. I'll do something else. Like I'll just not watch. Like that's your fault.
Meanwhile, today I'm a big soccer guy. I don't really watch Italian soccer, but it's in the football package. There was a mid-tier game, Lazio versus Hellas Verona. You know, 2 not very popular teams, 2 teams that most people here probably have never even heard of. But just because I had access to it, I turned it on, I enjoyed it, right? I can
100%
for a lot of teams. Yeah.
Mr. Segway Master, please tell me what you're going to think about my segue here, okay? Okay. So, this scenario we're talking about in the current NHL climate, there is not a 1-8 playoff format. We have this divisional stuff. What's going to happen if the Leafs, the Sens, and the Habs are in a divisional race and I want to scout my opponent? I need to be like, I want to watch a Sens game. I want to see what they're all about because my Leafs might face them. Well, we can't do that, like we just mentioned.
Not possible.
And not possible.
Gary said no. And he also said no.
He said no twice, okay? He said no
twice.
Because there's a blackout. You can't even watch the game if you wanted. And he said no because we have a certain format.
Yep.
It was a very convoluted segue, Brian. It was listen, you get it to like 5 words. I had to do a little like 5 sentences, but hey, I'll work on it.
But it's okay because Sidney Crosby had the same question asked to him, and he said that
5 words. You see?
And he said that the NHL should switch to the 1-8 format. This is a topic for discussion that we do have. We will get into it in 1 second. We're just gonna go on a quick break. Quickly. Sorry, guys.
In an hour?
No, it's been 40 minutes, but I just want to go on break just quickly, and then we'll take it from there. Okay? Be right back.
Okay. No problem.
All right, we're back. I was just having a bit of technical issues. Going back to the 1-8 format, I know you guys aren't particularly a fan of the current format because it pits you guys up against a juggernaut.
2 juggernaut. Yeah,
that's true.
It's been consistent for 7 years now. It's been a juggernaut every year.
I wouldn't say consistent. I mean, you guys got bailed out twice.
When? Oh, okay, yeah.
How about the ones? The year against Columbus, we just weren't good.
Yeah,
We
that
were
was
not
just a
good,
bad
and that was
year. I'd
also
say
not
one,
the
hundred
that was
percent.
not the same format either way. That was the mumble jumble
Yeah,
24
that's
teams make
true.
the playoffs format. So yeah, we choked it one year, no doubt about it. We probably
Yeah,
choked it every year.
for
When you're
sure.
in Game 7 and you lose 6 times in a row, we can call them all chokes. Not the point, Brian. Not the point. Although I will say, many people's argument is this is a Leaf centric topic. The idea that we're against this format. I don't, because to me, you would just get a lot more variety in the matchups if we went back to the 1 through 8. Right? It's as simple as that. You can have random matchups like here's Jack Hughes versus Austin Matthews. You got the battle of two American stars. Right now, the only way that's happening is if the Leafs win their division and the Devils are in a wild card spot, or if we met in the conference finals. Those are the only two scenarios where that would happen, right? Or vice versa if Devils win their division, but you get the point. Um, that's to me, it's you're just constraining the, and I get it. They're trying to force matchups, but it goes both ways, right?
That's a problem, though.
Yeah,
Why are we trying to force things to happen?
It
The best
exactly.
rivalries have spawned out of genuine hate for the other team, right? In the
Yeah.
90s, we wouldn't have gotten, Avs, Red Wings. Both teams I know were fantastic, but imagine if every single year in the first round, the Avs and the Red Wings would have to play each other, right? Those matchups were normally reserved. I think maybe once or twice it happened in the first round, but those matchups were normally reserved for the conference finals. Like, that's the step before you reach that Stanley Cup finals. And the only way for that genuine hatred to build was going through another two teams who kicked your ass up and down the ice before, and now you got to play those guys again. Like, come on, like the stories just write themselves there.
So, we were a victim of this quite a bit because we were forced to play Pittsburgh a lot, right? And yes, sometimes like we during those series we knew whoever won that series would win the cup. It was inevitable, and it kind of sucked that you would have such a big, like two Titans facing off so early. And I understand how you guys feel about that. The argument for the like this current system is that if you're gonna win, it doesn't matter who you face. You got to beat them, right?
Yeah,
Here's my rebuttal. Here is my rebuttal, and I literally just thought about this today because I've heard this argument now many times. Take a team like, let's say, the Vancouver Canucks and their little run that they made in the bubble year. Um, it matters. Like, yes, I will say the Stanley Cup winner is probably the same 90% of the time, regardless of the format. You got to be the best. You have to beat the best. I get that, but it does affect the course of teams, front offices, and their actions. The difference between losing the first round and making the second round might be the difference between signing a free agent in the following summer or making a trade, right? That urgency goes up big time. Had the Canucks lost in the first round that year, they probably don't have that, not false, because at the time, a lot of people thought the Canucks might have been real, but it changes Jim Benning's course of actions following that, right? So I get it. Stanley Cup winner, yes, it's the same, but it's not the same for the other teams. How many of the Leafs moves are changed by them winning 2 or 3 rounds throughout these past 7 years? That's my rebuttal to that.
I'm actually for
well,
the 1 for 8. I'll be honest with you guys. It's just
Yeah,
because I want like
yeah,
regular series to mean more, right?
yeah, oh, for sure.
yeah.
But
Our
But
fate is already decided in November, right?
here's the
yes,
other thing, Brian. To that point is, you want people to just win, but like regardless of the thing, like you have to beat the team in front of you, whether you're gonna play the top team or the other. Like, either way, you're still gonna have to show up. So that's not like, no, it's no excuse on the team's part if they don't perform. It's like, oh yeah, well we played, the Tampa Bay Lightning for the past 4 years, 5 years. Dude, you still have to beat them to go through. That's always been my thing. Like, the Leafs have to beat the team in front of them, regardless. Would it be nicer to get a team that, isn't setting historical point records right now? Awesome. That'd be fantastic. But you still have to beat the team in front of you. And that goes the same for like the 1 through 8 format. You could be the first in the division. You still have to beat the eighth ranked team. If you don't beat that eighth ranked team, then Like, what does that really say about the character on that team being in first and losing to the lowest ranked seed?
I mean,
Like, I don't know.
I mean, at the end of the day, yes, you have to win, you have to play, you have to beat whoever is ahead of you, right? But then again, I just want to reward the teams that do well for the 82 games.
Yeah.
It makes sense to have the 1 to 8 for me at least, just because
Yeah,
the matchups are so clean. You don't need what's Buffalo doing? What's the Islanders doing? Or what's the other team in the division doing or whatever? Like not sorry, the other team in the other division on the other side.
you're worrying about two sets of standings at the same time. You're worrying about
Yes.
your divisional standings and you're worrying about your wild card standings at the same time. Why? Why? Right? Like the NBA, they have their play-in instead of the wild card format, and you don't have to look at all these different standings. You pull up your conference and you know who's in and who's out, and you don't have to do, oh, but this team's in that division, so they could actually leap the wild card and whatever. Like that's not a thing.
It just
Simplify it, man.
It makes it so confusing.
specifically
How
for
are you going to get casuals?
specifically for you guys too. Um, you guys are, let's say, I don't know, you guys are a top 5 team points wise. I don't know the exact number, but the fact that you're
Literally, the
forced,
top 5 teams in the NHL are Eastern Conference teams right now.
yes, like you're literally forced to play against the sixth or the fourth best team
Yeah.
in points or whatever. Like that's kind of ridiculous to me. Like
And it
where's
was
the
the same thing with the Caps and Pens when you guys played each other. You guys were probably like second and third in the league, right? Like,
Yeah.
listen, and the last thing I'll bring up too is Bettman was asked this question as well on All Star Weekend about the format. He's vehemently against changing the format to something that involves a wild card series. And he was like, "I'll have you know that we had a vote 2 years ago." Or Bill Daly said this in the same interview. He's like, "We had a vote 2 years ago, and it was like 18 in favor, or no, more than 18. It was like 22 in favor, 8 against the current format to change it." And that there's a lot of different things that go into it. It's not as simple as just changing it. It is as simple as
Yes,
just
it
changing the
is.
format because you literally did it. Like Gary Bettman,
You did it
you were
over
the
a summer.
commissioner. You did it. You just
Yeah.
decided, right? So I hated that argument because it was just like it's a little bit of an insult to fans' intelligence when you just say, "Oh, it's a really convoluted process. It's not as simple as you guys think." When you literally did it 8 years ago
But
or however 10 years ago.
are are we very surprised that Gary Bettman is
No,
vehemently disagreeing with something
no,
that's clearly not working? Taking
yeah,
the Arizona Coyotes or the Coyotes franchise has been in that struggling market for 25 years
Yeah, that's
that
my
he doesn't want
team.
to
yeah,
relocate them, like bankrolled by the league
yeah.
3 separate times. Like what? Come
Listen.
on,
So
Gary.
Brian has revealed to us before the podcast that the
Yep,
Coyotes are now his second favorite team. Okay,
that is
and we know, that it's Dave's second favorite team too because for reasons. Yeah, no, I don't know. Gary Bettman is a conundrum, and I don't think we're ever going to solve him. So yeah, maybe you're right that it's a waste of our breath to
Hey,
question
but
why
let's
he
all
says things.
congratulate Gary Bettman on celebrating 30 years up front on the top of the league. Bringing in the salary cap and ruining the hopes and dreams of all NHL fans for the past 30 years. Let's give him a round of applause, guys.
chill.
Good for you, Gary. Thank
Okay.
you.
It's just gonna be so interesting to see whenever a new commissioner does come in those first couple years because they're gonna be treated kind of like a messiah. Like we're gonna be like, you can do no wrong. You are not Gary Bettman. Just do
No,
whatever
but,
you like.
but
It's gonna
here
be
is the
fine.
thing. Here is the thing. The next person that's coming in is going to have the exact same viewpoint because that is the way the NHL works.
Dude, could you
Bill
imagine if
Daly
it's Bill
has the
Daly?
exact same. It's going to be Bill Daly. He's going to have the exact same viewpoints, and nothing's going to change. So
Yeah.
we could put a potato as our commissioner right now. It's going to be our commissioner. Like the self-appointed commissioner. Let's all not forget that. There's only been one commissioner in NHL history, and it's Lord Commander Gary. So.
Okay, that was good.
Sorry,
Gary.
I was
Okay.
off
That's
topic.
enough
Okay.
My
enough
mistake.
Gary content
But
for one day.
one last thing about this format that we currently have. Let me just ask you guys this: since you are forced to play the Bolts, the Bruins early on, inevitably, when it does happen that you guys do beat them, it's like it will happen in the course of history. Okay, like in my lifetime, it will happen. won't it be that much sweeter? Like,
Brian just cursed the
Speak
franchise.
louder
You
into the mic, Brian.
absolute, yeah.
Speak it into existence, Brian.
Oh, okay. I thought you couldn't hear me for a second. But but anyway, won't it make it that much sweeter? Like for us, I'll be honest with you, we had to beat Pittsburgh for us to feel satisfied.
Yeah.
You know, but do you not have that feeling with at
But
least
like,
one of them?
it could have been the same way with the 1 through 8 format, whatever. Like, I get it, I do get it, but I don't know. I still feel a little too forced. But you are right that in the fantasy Leafs Stanley Cup run, it's we beat Tampa in the first round, we beat the Bruins in the second round. I've heard that, like, oh, imagine you beat the Caps in the third round, because that was like a throwback to 2016-17.
Yeah, it's because you guys were our first, like, this team's
Yeah.
first loss. I heard that too.
You are our
I heard
first
another
trust,
one where
Brian.
it was like we take down like the Isles in the first round, then
Yeah.
go on to like the Bees or Tampa. Like, yeah, no, 100%,
Too
Brian.
many stories online.
I just realized it has to be the Habs. What am I saying?
I'll
bro?
be
It
honest
has
with you.
to be.
I think the best way to get that type of scenario though, like to do like let's say like the Isles and then like or like the Caps would be like that 1 through 8 system, right? Like you
Yeah.
get maybe you get the Caps in the first because right now the Caps are lower.
We would have to play them in the third round. Like, what are the odds of that happening? Versus 1 through 8, you could play the Bruins in the conference finals. We cannot play the Bruins in the conference finals.
That would probably be even bigger because there's more
Yeah.
at stake. It's the last step
Yeah.
before the cup final, right? Instead of playing them in the first round,
It's the equivalent to slaying the dragon, the Canucks, right? Like,
yes,
that's what it
that
would
is
be.
the final dragon, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Speaking of dragons,
Man.
our second line dragon, the one I always refer
Why-
to, of our four-headed monster, Dylan Strome, signed 5x5.
How's this going, bro?
I think that's the first and last time Dylan Strome's going to be called a dragon or a monster.
That's it.
I
He's
remember-
officially known as the dragon on this pod now. That's
No,
it.
hear me out. Because I always refer to our centers as like the four-headed monster, the three-headed Hydra,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And he just happens to be the second head right now.
Yeah. So listen, we have Samsonov, the Russian philosopher, that you were like, "What the hell are you talking about?" I'm adding Dylan Dragonstrom to that list, just so it's known. Give us the details, Brian.
5x5. He signed on as a free agent because he was dropped from, I believe, Chicago, and he signed for us for 3.5. He's been our second line center, first line center, at most first line, second line center ish, rotating up and down. Played left wing a bit, scratched, but you know that's a Peter Laviolette choice, not a choice I would have made. But I think he's found a home here, and he's proven it with signing that piece of paper, that nice, very nice 7-figure salary that he will be getting for the next.
Brian, you say it like you're getting a cut of his contract, man. Are you the agent, bro?
No, I wish.
Like
I
the
was, though.
smile, man. Oh my god. Yeah.
Guys, like seeing Dylan Strome like play over the Capitals, like just look how happy he is. It's actually unreal. You could see he was like depressed back in Chicago, back in Arizona.
And Arizona, yeah. Holy
This guy had a
fuck.
tough time. And then I'm just happy that he's like found a home here. His like another walk on we've had, Sonny Milano signed 1.9x3. He's found chemistry with Backstrom and Wilson. They make a really good line. I don't know what it is, but they have that magic that some lines just have. I don't know what it is, but they just play well together. And the fact that both of them are now going to be on our team for the foreseeable future makes me super happy. Another thing I just wanted to point out, this sends a message to our prospects in the system. Connor McMichael, at this point, 21 years old, should be playing full-time in the NHL. His spot's occupied by Mr. Dylan Strome or Mr. Sonny Milano now. I don't know where we're, like, what these prospects, like, what we're going to do with them. I don't know where Connor McMichael fits in with our depth chart anymore, just because, like, we just have the surplus of forwards right now. But I don't know, like.
Brian, I saw Caps fans because I was reading an article on the Athletic today. It was just on the Strome signing, and Caps fans were talking about that, like the prospect log jam. So you have McMichael, you have Protash, and you've got Lapierre, right? And your current centers, as you said, Kuzi, Backstrom, Strome, and Dowd is going to be the future. Eller is going to probably be gone after this year. Fair enough.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
So
We'll get
yeah,
into
so
that
out
in
of
a
those,
second.
yes, so out of those three prospects there, like who's the odd man out? Like, are any of them going to be like who's the best suited to maybe convert to a winger in order to uh, keep their future with the Caps? Is there a
McMichael.
possibility that you think McMichael's the likely bet to
No,
go to
he's
winger?
he's a left wing. Like he can play left wing. He's done it
Oh,
already.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I want to see Hendricks player like Lapierre like develop as a center. I think he's a natural progression from Backstrom. It's just how long is it going to take for him to develop A, and B, how many years does Backstrom have left? That's a question we have now. And with Strome signing long term, like what does that say to the prospect pool down there? Obviously, you don't want. I don't want a talented prospect playing fourth line with Hathaway and Dowd. That's not happening. Like that's a waste of talent, and that's how you. I don't want to say kill a
You're in
career.
a career.
You can say it. I'm not gonna say
Yeah,
it.
Pretty
But
close. Yeah.
yeah, you can. It's the same thing with like Nick Robertson with you guys. You don't want to put a talented winger on a utility line.
you want to put them into
Yeah.
a spot to succeed, right?
Yes.
And the thing with Nicky Robbie's always been, they've never given him that full opportunity, whether it be for defensive reasons or just getting the run cut short by injury. Yeah, they never got that runway. And like you said, like Bryan, if there is this logjam, that runway doesn't exist, right? I wouldn't be surprised if we see one of those guys go at the deadline. To be honest, Bryan, like Lapierre, Protash, or McMichael.
I think that. I would
Maybe not
also-
at the. Sorry, maybe not at the deadline per se. I think maybe in the off season when you're able to like reevaluate where you wanna take the team. I think maybe that's like best suited for them. I don't know. I just feel like sending off one of those pieces at the deadline is like
Premature.
like high, not immature, but it's very high risk, 100%.
Well, Lapierre is 20 and McMichael's 21. They obviously still have a bright future ahead of them. I don't like pissing away prospects. Like we've already seen how that happen, how that works out for us. It's not good, by the way. And I don't know. I think it's just better to vet them into the system, kind of like how we did with Burakovsky and Verana. Even though that like now it doesn't look as amazing, but for a time it looked like wow, these guys have an insane future. Another prospect that like we vetted into the system slowly was Kuznetsov. People don't understand that we drafted him in 2013. We kept him developing for 2-3 years, and then we called him up, and then he set the league on fire for a bit, right? Well,
Yeah, he was an not instant success, but like pretty close to instant,
yes,
right? It was like his second year that I think he made the All Star game,
yes.
and there was a bunch of interviews and everything. You want to hit us with what you've been cooking up today?
Yes.
The trade
Okay,
proposal.
So I don't want to get a big fish. We know that works out for the Capitals historically. Doesn't work out well.
Your record wouldn't makes like it doesn't
Doesn't warrant making.
doesn't preclude you to make that move. Yeah, doesn't make sense.
There's also a chance that we miss the playoffs, and our first round pick's worth too much this year. Don't want to give that up.
Yeah,
We do have an anchor. There's another team with an anchor. Why don't we switch?
Oh, there's a few teams with anchors, Brian, but you're gonna have to be
Lots
a
of
little bit more
anchors.
specific.
yeah.
So there's two that I was looking at. I don't think. Well, the one that everybody's been rumored, Matthew Mantis straight swap for Brock Besser. I'm not opposed to that. I just don't think.
I mean, you win that, but I don't think the Canucks do that.
I just don't. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't think the Canucks would be.
Not realistic.
Where I do see some realism is we could trade Anthony Mantis, ship him off to Montreal in exchange for Christian Dvorak, who has struggled this year. They can throw in Joel Edmondson, and then we can add, I don't know, a third or a fifth, whatever would make the difference for that trade to occur. My reasoning for this is Mantha, Dvorak both struggled. Dvorak is obviously less salary, so we'll just throw in a pick for there, throw in the fifth or whatever, and then Joel Edmondson will pay a third, given how Magna went for a fourth last night, I believe, right, guys? A fourth.
Yeah, it was a
So-
fourth.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we're a little bit overpaying for Edmondson because Magna is the better player, but we'll take Edmondson for a third. I think that's reasonable. Bolster our defense.
Yeah.
Revitalize Dvorak's career and send Mantha to a good place. I feel like the Habs fans would really like him there. I feel like he fits.
So, yeah, he fits there. You're saying as a winger, Manfield on Montreal, he'd fit.
I feel like
I could see it.
and yeah, I feel like he would fit their system. I feel like he would be able to give them that extra little bit of like they have like this
Size.
not size, but like
Yeah.
you have Josh Anderson already, but then you have Manta as well. It's kind of like the whole Wilson Manta
He's a
here.
he's a Quebec guy too, pretty sure.
Yes.
So there's that. Um, where would you have Dvorak play 3C, or what
Yeah,
would you
or
do?
two LW
Winger
or
or
3 LW or
okay,
something like that.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
Throw
yeah.
throw in
I mean, you
linebacker.
could even put Kuzi or Backstrom to the wing, and then like go like either Kuzi, Backstrom, Strome, Dvorak at 3C. You could do a couple of different things. It makes you versatile. Um, I feel like Edmonton's reputation is going to supersede his actual play on the ice, and he's gonna like fetch Montreal at least a second. Do you know what the reported asking price is on Edmonton? This is like an old report. They want the David Savard package, which was a first and a
Absolutely
third.
not. Absolutely
Yeah,
not.
that's why like I sent the we've talked about Edmonton in our chat. Charts aren't everything, but for me, when it's a player that I'm not familiar with or I haven't watched in a while, it's a good starting point. So I looked at charts on Edmonton, and they were not very good. The one place where the charts don't always aren't always effective is when you have like a very bad team and a defenseman who focuses on defense. Their results are never good. Like they play on a bad team, they're going to get scored on, not always because of what they can or can't do. So Edmonton, we've seen him succeed. When they had that four-headed monster, that was the year that the Leafs lost them in the first round. It was Sherratt, Petrie, Weber, and Edmondson. Those guys were really good that
Big
playoff run.
bodies.
Yeah, big
Man,
bods.
that's grinding you down to the to the core. Like
That was the Austin
I have
Matthews
vivid
back as a
memories.
xylophone.
Yeah, yeah, and that was Joel Edmondson too, or was it? It could have honestly could have
Dude,
been any one of
it
them.
could
But
have been
like,
any of them, bro. Yeah.
yeah,
After seeing the Magna trade, I'm a little bit bummed we didn't get involved with that because I feel like that would be the perfect John Carlson partner. You move
yeah.
You
Faravari.
made what was the comparison you made? I liked it from a
Michael
previous
Kempney.
deadline. Michael Kempney, very very underrated defenseman that the Caps just said, yeah, we'll try him out from the Blackhawks. He wasn't even like that good on the Blackhawks, and all of a sudden he became so damn good for you guys that year. I was such a fan of him.
So
Injuries have derailed him. He was so good for you guys, man.
The game he got injured was the best regular season game I've ever watched in my life. You guys have to check it out. It was a 6-5 game against the Bolts. It was war. Oh my god. And he got hurt in the last 2 minutes. To this day, I think that if that
That's
didn't happen,
brutal.
this is the game before the playoffs too, or like a week
Oh my
before, something
god.
like that. If that didn't
Wow.
happen, this whole script changes for like our team. But regardless,
Yeah.
if we make or trade for a defenseman, let's say a defensive D guy, we pair him up with Carlson. That's our Kempty replacement. We have the second best, we have the best, like 3 and 4 in the league. Jensen and Orlov, Magic. That would put Eric Gustafsson as our 5, and then Faravari as our 6. 7th being TV.
You're putting everybody in a spot to succeed when you do that. Everyone
That's a very
is
good.
slotted perfectly.
I think
Yeah.
that's what we need. And
I think you're moving down some. I think some of those guys like right now are probably in the spot. Like I think a guy like Gustafsson maybe has like your 4 because you're moving Gustafsson down. Like if you're moving everybody down one, I think that definitely has you guys as probably one of the best defensive corps in
on paper.
probably in the on paper 100%, and then you add someone like Joel Edmondson, who's 100% probably not a gifted defenseman, but what he does best, and he will shatter your bones in front of the net. So that's what you're paying for, right? You're paying somebody to be the snow clear, like the snow clear, right? Like or the body clear, I guess in this case. He's clearing bodies in front of the net. Like out of all your D-Bry, is there anybody who's like that guy who's standing in front of the net, breaking spines, pushing guys out of the way? Like, do you guys have somebody like that?
We don't have a defenseman like that. They're all a bit physical in their own way. Like they're not. None of them are like.
But nothing to
It's not
that
their
next level.
It's not their
it's
go-to.
forte.
It's more of like forwards that are like that. It's more
Yeah.
like Dowd, Hathaway,
Yeah.
Wilson, and yeah, but I don't know.
So
Okay,
in this case, in this case,
okay.
that would be something that you guys would be looking for,
Yeah,
because that's what you're
It's
gonna
something.
get
It's something they don't
ultimately.
have right now. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and I will say too, like Edmondson, if you guys got him, like on Montreal right now, he's probably their most played defenseman, if I had to guess. Right?
Yeah.
That's not the
Yeah. That
that
probably
won't
does not
necessarily be
help
the
either.
case. Yeah, exactly. Me and Dave, I think we're both in agreement. The Strome deal and the Milano deal, we like them both, right?
I think if Brian McClellan also then pulls off relative deals to what you're saying, Brian, especially if you can't pull off that the Mantha deal, which I feel like that one Mantha's expiring after this year, or he has
No, he's locked
one
up.
more year.
He's locked up.
How
Same
many
with
more years?
Dvorak though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Dvorak's
know
got like
Dvorak
2
has
years
2 more
too.
years. So I think that deal probably happens in the summer. Personally, I think it's just probably easier to work something like that in the summer. But if he is able to acquire a defenseman like a Joel Edmondson for a menial cost, I think that is a big dub, because you also secured to, Dylan Strome in particular, 5 years. Let's not sugarcoat it. In a few years, the Capitals are not going to be the Washington Capitals that we're seeing today, and that we've saw, for the past 10 years. Like, there's going to be a time where some changes are going to happen. The core is going to have to start moving on, unfortunately, right? But Dylan Strome is that guy personally that I think will take the Capitals with a guy like Kuznetsov, with a guy like potentially like a Tom Wilson, who's going to take the Capitals into the next generation of, Washington Capitals hockey. So I think it's a great deal on both ends, honestly.
Strome is a great transition piece. He bridges the timelines to this
100%.
generation to whatever the next one is. Yeah.
All right, that's enough Caps. Too much for you guys. Let's go into Horvat.
And we don't have to spend too much time on Horvat because we talked a ton about him last episode.
Yes.
8.5 by 8. In the words of Lou, too much money for too long. He also has it's a modified no trade clause, not a no move clause.
So he's not coming back to Canada.
Well, but listen. With the modified no move clause, this actually isn't in favor of Horvat, because let's say Lou says, "Bo, we want to trade you to Arizona." We always pick up. Okay, I'm gonna not use Arizona as the example. Bo, we want to trade you to Columbus. Well, you see, Lou, Columbus is on my no trade clause, and Lou says, "That's cool. You're gonna be on waivers tomorrow. They're gonna pick you up. See you, Bo." Right?
Wow.
So that's what happens when you have a no trade clause versus a no move clause. Lou grinding the gears a little bit there on that deal. So also, there's no signing bonuses involved in Horvat's deal, which makes it not buyout proof. It's because the way a buyout's calculated is based off of I don't know the exact formula, but when it's just full salary, it's not as beneficial to the player. So those are those wrinkles. Price wise, 8.5 by 8, boys. What do we think? I think it's a fair deal. Just looking at it in a vacuum, context of the team he'll be playing for and what it'll look like around him. I know Bryan's in the same opinion. Dave, what do you think? Fine wine or spoiled milk?
Definitely not. I don't think it's gonna be as fine a wine. It's probably gonna be like a wine you get at Costco. It's not going to be spoiled milk,
Okay.
but it's not going to be, $20 wine. It's still good. It does the job, basically, right?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be like, when you open up a can of Coca-Cola,
it'll be flat.
It's nice.
You leave it in the fridge.
It's nice for the first little bit. When you put it in the fridge for a little bit too long, you leave it out. It gets a little bit stiff.
Yeah.
Right?
You leave it for a week. Yeah.
But you see sometimes it's not the Coke, it's the fridge sometimes, So that's what I'm like. If Bo Horvat's the Coke, I feel like the fridge might be the problem here. I feel like the fridge isn't that good anymore.
The fridge needs a deodorant, like that deodorant pack in there. Needs some Arm & Hammer deodorizer.
Yeah. So I think that's what's up.
Well, I did say last week that a deal was coming, and I was correct.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, maybe they'd wait until the summer, because here's the thing. You haven't played a game with him yet. So
Right? I find that hilarious.
that is a little bit worrying because it's like, you're moving to a new team, you're moving from a new situation, and you're going to a team where you're going to be looked at as probably the primary scorer. Like, who else is going to be the top, like the primary scorer on that team? Matt Barzal isn't a primary scorer; he's a primary assister. Brock Nelson, JG Pageau,
Anders Lee, but like
Anders
Horvat
Lee.
opts over all those guys, at least for this year, based off of what he's done.
The counter to this is Horvat fits the way they play so perfectly. Like,
Yeah.
But is that a good thing or a bad thing? I feel like the Islanders might need a little not Islanders, right? Like I feel like they're too much Islanders. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
they need more
I still
Barzal
think
because Barzal is not the Islanders, right? That's why he's so unique to the team.
He has that like the finish though. I think that's where the lack, like the loss in translation is, where they have a lot of their identity, which is good. You build on your identity, but I think he also has the finish as well, probably more so than the guys that we mentioned before. Like you're not going to say Brock Nelson is a 45 goal scorer.
Yeah.
But Bo Horvat might be a 45 goal scorer this year.
Like this year. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I think if he's consistently a 30 goal scorer, which he in years past,
I think that's in the realm of possibility.
I think that's a fair deal for him.
Yes.
Listen, I'm not gonna beat around the bush and say it's an automatic steal day one. It's only gonna get better. No, and I don't think it was ever gonna be like that. I think from what we heard previously, he was gonna get a deal similar to JT Miller, which I think for him is probably a fair assessment, but it wasn't going to be, he's not taking cap savings like some people might think he would have. But you know what? Good for him. He got his money. So can't complain.
All right. So Bo Horvat, 8x5. Sorry, 8.5x8. Dylan Larkin, 8.5x8.
I would sign it.
You would sign it?
Yeah.
Give the full question, though. I interrupted you. Give us the full question.
Who would you rather have, given the situation of like what you would like trading for one and then signing it right after? Because we know that Larkin's also on the trade block right now.
He might be, like, it's not guaranteed. It is. The rumor is that Yzerman and Larkin are still far apart on an extension as we approach the deadline. So it would only be logical to assume he hits the trade block if nothing can be negotiated in time. And yeah, you bring up the 8.5 by 8. That would be the general area that I'd expect Larkin to end up in on an 8-year deal. I like a Larkin a little bit more than Horvat, and that's as someone who has become a fan of Horvat, especially in that Vancouver run. Some of the goals he scored, especially in that St. Louis series, were just phenomenal. Like I became a Horvat fan in that series. I like Larkin's game a little bit more. He is a speedy mofo, and he can do it all. And I think on a contender, he is an elite 2C, and on most teams, he can get the job done as a 1C depending on who's flanking him on the wings. Bryan brought up some good, a really good team that should target him. I'll bring up the one that has been rumored as the front runner if he were to hit the market, and that's the goddamn Bruins. Oh dear God, please do not send Dylan Larkin to the Bruins. That would be terrible. I definitely do not want to see that. But Bryan, you want to hit us with the suggestion that you made, because I think this is a really good suggestion.
So, like you said, there's a team in the league that needed a 2C for the longest time, and then they got it. They got their 2C. They traded an expendable defenseman for this 2C, and they ended up winning a cup.
I didn't ask for all this context, Bryan.
This team is the Colorado Avalanche. I don't even know who their 2 center is right now.
It's a combination of Alex Newhook, JT Compher, Evan Rodriguez, guys who are not 2Cs. I just like the idea of Larkin in Colorado because he kind of is McKinnon light. Is he not?
He is.
Yeah.
And wouldn't he
fit
slot
really well.
So perfectly right behind McKinnon?
Really good.
Perfect.
Really good.
It's like you take one off, you have someone that plays a similar style right after. Obviously, McKinnon's like the 10 out of 10 player, Larkin's like the 8,
Yeah.
right? But then again,
Still.
you have
Well, it's
you have that-
upgrades from the 5s that you're playing right now,
Yes.
basically, right?
Yes.
yes. And but the only thing that made me think, okay, maybe this wouldn't work is would I want to trade Backstrom to the Penguins? Like, is this rivalry still a thing between Colorado and the Avs? Would you make this
No.
trade?
I
Yeah,
think
I-
personally,
Like, would you trade your? Would you expect Montreal to trade their 2C to you? You know, is this rivalry
What-
still a thing?
Montreal's in our division. That's the thing now. The Avs Red
That's
Wings thing
true.
is
Different
gone.
conferences.
It's a generational difference now.
that is why I was gonna go against the Bruins take, was because why would
That's
Yzerman
true.
trade to his divisional rival? Like, those are the guys that everybody's trying to, that everybody's pegging for. They're gunning down.
Yeah.
Why would you willingly give up? And then why, like, Steve's asking price has to be astronomical if he's going to the Bruins, right? Does Don Sweeney even have that type of does he have
cabinet?
the capital to give Steve? I think you probably have better luck, if you lower the asking price just a little bit, but you send him out west. So I think maybe it's more likely for him to go to a team like the Avs than
Another
Bruins.
thing I wanted to mention about my point about would they make this trade? Who's the GM of the Avs and who's the GM of the Red Wings?
Bro, come on, man.
Come on, guys.
I think they should fight to the death. And if Yzerman wins, then he gets McKinnon, and if Joe Sakic wins, he gets Larkin. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but if
I don't know,
Yzerman
I
wins, he
think
also
that-
gets another cup.
That's a rivalry
That's
that
a
predates
yeah.
us. That's a
Yeah.
Yes.
That's an old rivalry, 100%. I think.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that there's bad blood over there anymore. So it's
but
It's like if imagine the Leafs, they were talking to LA about the Muzzin deal, and the Leafs said, you know what, actually we're not making this deal because we got screwed in '93. Carry for we don't forget. Yeah,
because Gretzky high-stick Gilmore and wasn't called for it.
Yeah.
Like, that was
Yeah,
30 years ago.
That's the equivalent. Right.
So we are at the 90-minute mark for this episode. We are going to
Really?
cut it there, but at the end, we'll also be uploading a couple quizzes, which is pretty fun. Which would be pretty cool and fun after. We're gonna close the pod here because we've got to work on these quizzes. About the Capitals moves, I will be finishing an article about that shortly. Thanks for listening. Shout out to Fubo. Shout out to NHL Shop. Shout out to Razor. You guys have anything else to say? Don't say the TikTok stuff. You haven't posted one.
I've been slacking on the TikTok. I'll be honest with you. I really have been. I'm not going to lie to you. But I don't know. I'm not going to make false promises here. When they come out, they'll come out, basically, at this point. But keep it locked onto the site. Keep it locked onto the YouTube, to the website for new articles. Hopefully soon for the TikToks. And you can find all of those, on our socials, linked into the description.
Thank you for listening.
I was thinking about something to say, and all I could come up with is once again trail smoke eaters. That's it.
Thank you for listening. I'll see you again next episode. Or if you guys want to watch the quiz clips, they'll be coming out after.